G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game. Spawning in on the south side of the map in the color red, playing as the Chinese, we've got Barcode. And on the opposite side of the map, playing in the color yellow as the Abbasid dynasty, representing a Gamer Legion. It is the one, the only, the Viper! And he's playing some Abbasid today. I'm loving it. We obviously saw recently his Chinese game. Didn't go that well. I'm curious to see how he's developing when it comes to the Abbasid dynasty. I'm gonna be keeping you guys up to date. I'm gonna see it as my obligation to keep you guys up to date with how the Viper is doing on the ladder. At the moment, a little bit of a rank update, ladder update for the Viper. Currently sitting at about rank 130. Now, Barcode is quite a decent player inside the top 50, so definitely going to be up against a tough opponent here, and obviously the Chinese. Now, I know that a lot of people favor the Abbasid in this matchup, but for me personally, I prefer the Chinese. Obviously, I'm a Chinese fanboy, love the Chinese, but I genuinely see it as a pretty good matchup for the Chinese in this matchup compared to the Abbasid. So I'm curious how Viper's going to be looking to play it. I would suspect he's going to be going for the standard build order, and it looks like he is indeed doing that. So what's the standard build order, you might be wondering? So it's the 3 on sheep, or the 3 sheep rather. So 7 villas on sheep, and then out to gold. And the idea here is that you're actually just going to use these 3 sheep to get you up to the feudal age and to create all the villages that you need to. And by the time these sheep run out, you're going to take the berries, and you're going to be over onto the berries. You're going to start researching that wheelbarrow. So it's going to be a single scout opening here from the Viper. On the other side of the map, Barcode going to be doing the same thing. So both players opening up with only a single scout. And I do like this. I think this is very, very, I guess, not standard in the meta, but it's a much more appropriate opening now. Interestingly, also picks up the wolves. This one did fall off. Gonna get shot down now. You might be wondering, why has he picked up the wolves? Well, that helps him out later on in the game. Perhaps these wolves were, you know, maybe the wolf was here on the berries and the hunt. Well, that wolf is going to become an APM drain for him whenever that wolf gets that wolf comes out, or it could have been down here on the relic. That's another possibility. So you can see him luring away these wolves here on his own side of the map, just to make sure that in the event that, you know, his enemy, or not his enemy, but later on in the game he wants to come out here, he's going to be able to do so without being annoyed or frustrated. And we actually have him moving out. Is he going to drop these? Is he going to do a little bit of a drop now? You can actually drop wolves off. I've seen a very funny way to play is doing a wolf drop. Now, you can only really do it with the Mongols because you've got the ability to increase the speed of your Khan. And that allows you to, essentially what you do is you have your scout run in with the wolves behind, and you're running over the gold mine, and as you hit the gold mine about here, you're going to shoot that arrow that gives you the movement speed into the air, and you're going to run away, and then those wolves will drop off. So we can see here these wolves have dropped off into the middle of the map, just chilling out at the moment over on this gold mine. So nice little job here from Barcode to do this, and I think this is very cute. I'm surprised that we don't see this more at the high level, because it's a very small adaptation you can make, and it does give you a significant gain, because it means that, you know, maybe there's a bit of a feudal age fight that starts happening, and at the same time you've issued a command to some villagers to come out onto the berries. Now you're being attacked. You know, how many villagers have we seen killed by wolves? How much APM have we seen drained by wolves? So I think this is such a smart move here from Barcode. Age up now for the Viper, coming through. Wheelbarrow is in queue, no surprises there. Nice and early age up. Obviously going to be the economic wing here. I was thinking about ways that you could make the Abbasid wings stronger, because they've tried to do that. They've tried to make the age 1 wings a little bit more different, and I feel like maybe it's just better to just nerf the economic wing. I know it's really good, but what if you took that villager production cost maybe from 50%, maybe even down to like 35%? I don't know. Maybe actually make it an you know what? Why don't you just make it an economic wing and make it so that villagers train like 20% faster or something like that, or reduces the train time of villagers by 30%, something like that, so that your TC is, instead of being 1 TC, is like 1.5 TCs or 1.3 TCs, but then you're going to be drained a lot more food, because that's the big issue at the moment with the Abbasid dynasty. They've just got so much bloody food. It's just difficult to deal with, because they're able to maintain that villager production and keep pumping out army. But Viper now could be dropping down a stable. We'll check in with Barcode and see how he does. He has spotted out that stable from the Viper, so we'll expect to see a barracks coming up from him, potentially. Maybe. Could be an option. Barbican going to be coming out in the front. An interesting position on this Barbican as well. Typically, you'd expect a position like this to just be easily walled off. But he's instead going to be putting a Barbican down I guess I'd be thinking a bit more about a Barbican over on this eastern side, protecting that food, but we'll have to wait and see exactly how Barcode's going to be playing this. Still yet to move over towards any kind of stone as well, so it could be a 1TC play. Now, one of the things that was said by Beastie, I remember this, and I'll never forget what he said. He said, 1TC China is absolutely dog shit. Do not do it. All right, let's see how Barcode goes today, because he's up against one of the best in the world. Sure, Viper might not be one of the best in the world at the moment, but he's obviously still pretty damn decent. We'll check in with him and see how he's doing as he begins to now take stone. Scout moving out onto the map. Horsemen are going to be coming around as well over towards this position. And the Song Dynasty, it's a slow one coming through. Only 3 villages tapping away at this landmark. Ideally, you'd like to see it coming up about a minute earlier. You can get some pretty decent times with the Song Dynasty. I think the world record time at the moment is about 4 minutes and 30 seconds to hit Song Dynasty. Obviously, it's not super good to actually hit it that early because you're using a lot of villages to make the landmark. But if you can get it about 5 minutes, that's a pretty good timing, especially with a 1 scout opening. But now that horseman about to come in, there she goes. Also got the scout looking to help out, doing a bit of blocking right there. Village is going to be under attack. He's down to 30 health. There we go. Moving away from this. And now we've got horsemen actually coming out from Barcode. So not something that I expected to see, but it does make a lot of sense. The horsemen as well as the spearmen going to be a great composition here, but obviously you want to try and avoid that up against the Abbasid dynasty, just because they've got camels. Camels obviously incredibly strong. Also their spears notoriously good. They're going to be supervising out this position. We did see, I think that was Wheelbarrow that came through. Indeed, it was Wheelbarrow that just came through. He's got the 3rd Imperial official out. He's supervising up what appears to be the lumber camp and the stable for the moment. Nice little defense for him. Keep in mind, he's got those reinforcements. He's also supervising them out. Village is down on the gold as well. And going to be able to force the Viper back from here. Viper going to have to fall back now. They both got their scouts grouped with their horsemen. Just a little tidbit. Horseman has 1.88 movement speed. Scout only 1.62. So if you do group them together, everything is running as slow as that scout, which means that you're going to be taking extra hits like this. Now, of course, if you don't group them, the scout's going to fall behind. But at the end of the day, I mean, do you want to be losing all of your units here? We can see now Barcode going to be continuing to get tags on these units. There we go. No snare, obviously. So going to make it a bit easier, or rather a bit easier to escape. We'll check in with the Viper and see how he's doing, as it's going to be archery range that he moves into. A lot of gold in the bank as well. Not sure what he's planning on doing with all this gold. He's got the upgrades. He's not forgotten about them. So it seems like the scout does indeed get sacrificed. And that seems to be like to me, at least the suitable choice. But we've got the first of the camels coming out. So this is going to be the target for these horsemen. But obviously with the scout going down, Viper's going to have no clue about where his enemy is positioned. And now the move to Shukunu. And this is the matchup dominating unit. In my opinion, this is one of the strongest units in this matchup. Mainly in the Feudal Age. Once you get to the Castle Age, it becomes pretty irrelevant. But once again, in the Imperial Age, it becomes a highly relevant unit. Barcode now looking for a raid at the same time. Viper might be thinking about the same thing over on the other side of the map. Villager, number 1, probably going to be going down. Number 2, not going to be taken, but he's going to move over to the stone on the east side of the map at the same time. Viper continues posturing over towards that west side of the base of the enemy. Now going to be coming in with the camel as well. Completely blind at this point. No scout in sight. Unfortunately, going to make it a bit harder for him to find those villagers and track them down, but Barcode not paying attention. Fortunately, he does manage to pick it up. Shukunu now going to be looking to defend. No +1 ranged armor just yet. Shukunu going to be able to absolutely smack those horsemen into the next realm, into the Shadow Realm. 2nd TC is up for the Viper now. We did see he was on stone still. Only a couple of villagers, though. Not a huge amount of villagers. And horsemen around the other side of the base. Viper doing a great job at multitasking here. Looking to hit the gold mine as well. Gold mine going to be caused a little bit of idle villagers. Both of them do get inside safely, and now Chukunu going to be firing off. Great little front position here as well. The horseman going to be able to take this up. At the same time, the Chukunu firing down upon it. Viper might be thinking a bit about a Castle Age. We can see he's got quite a few villagers back here. 7 villagers. At the same time, villagers under the TC, gathering up that food. Chukunu pushing out. Still no +1 for either player. So it's essentially even Stevens at the moment. And Viper is intent on going up to that Castle Age. We see him also dropping down a barrack. So interesting that he goes into the barrack. So I'm curious what his composition is going to be. But look at Barcode looking to play a heavy 1TC opening here. Also dropping down the blacksmith here. Not the best spot. Ideally, you'd want it right on the corner of the blacksmith. But to be honest, he doesn't actually lose anything because he still has this corner open. So, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and give him a pass on that. I'll allow it. I'll permit it. But Barcode's still yet to grab that +1. I suspect we're going to see it coming in through shortly. Typically, you in a Feudal Age push or a Feudal Age play, you would expect to see siege engineering coming through before +1. But here, I think it's definitely wise to be going for Steeled Arrow just because of the prevalence of horsemen for the Abbasid Dynasty player. But now we can see that there's been plenty of gold mined off the top here. The age up going to be coming through for the Viper. Going to be heading towards that castle age. And this is where it starts to get a little bit more painful for the Chinese player because he's pushing out right as the enemy is going to that castle age. So the question is, how does he deal with knights? How does he deal with men-at-arms? That's going to be the difficult thing. Now, he's got a couple of options, but I do like what he's doing here. And so trench building is one of the ways that you can actually deal with those armored units because of the hand cannon slits that are going to come through for the Chinese player. Effectively, they act as crossbows. They've got a lot more damage on them than your typical arrow slits, and it means that they can really break through those enemy armors. Obviously, also being in the castle age is going to enable you access to the trebuchet, so that's going to be a consideration that Viper might have to make as well. But we've already got the start of the push beginning to come here, and I've got to say, I'm loving it from Barcode. This is actually ticking every single box that I would be wanting to see here as a Chinese player. I'm absolutely loving this push. The fact that he's diversifying. So we've got the siege engineering push that's come out. He's also got the +1 that's come through. So battering ram's about to be unlocked, but he's going to continue making outposts. And the idea here is that if men-at-arms or lancers come out, that he's going to be able to continue falling back towards the outposts. He's going to continue with those arrow slit emplacements, or rather those hand cannon emplacements, and that's going to be able to penetrate through the armor of the men-at-arms, penetrate through the armor of the lancers, and that should be able to really keep him in a great spot. Now I'm going to start looking to focus down the production. He's got two choices that he can make. Number one is that he can come around this left side and begin to attack the second TC. The second option is he comes around the right side and looks to attack the production. But you can see that he's already made the decision. It's going to be left side. More upgrades starting to come through. We see hand cannon slits. Also going to be researching double broadaxe and iron undermesh. So looking to get that +1 ranged armor here so he can dive underneath those TCs, take a little less damage on his units, take a little less damage on the Shukunu, on the horsemen in particular. That's where it's going to be important. And now that next outpost coming up. Honestly, I'd love to see maybe like 4 or 5 villagers out here just constructing outposts. The more outposts that you can get with a push like this, it makes it so much more difficult to deal with. And it means Viper's probably going to have to fall into Springalds. Springalds are going to be the best way to diffuse this because Springalds are actually going to be able to take out the battering rams from range. Just 1 or 2 Springalds should be all that he needs. And we'll ride on board with the Viper and see how he's doing at the moment as he's stacking up quite a bit of resources. Obviously, losing out the production on the front line means he's not able to make as many buildings, or rather as many units as he was previously. So he's going to have to think about that and instead opting for a Mangonel. Mangonel going to be able to force back the Shukunu, but still going to mean that the battering rams are open. Now, one of the things to note, obviously China in the Song Dynasty, pumping out villagers non-stop. It means that he's sitting on 1.5 TCs up against the 2. Let's check the villager count at the moment. Viper on 49 villagers. 54 for Barcode, despite the 1 TC play. Over on the other side for Barcode, despite 1 TC, he's been able to outboom the enemy Abbasid player. I'm just saying, seems kind of broken. I know that there are pro players that have said 1 base China, it's shit, don't bother doing it. Well, let's see what Barcode manages to pull out today because he's looking pretty decent at this point in time. Horsemen forcing those villagers back in. The numbers for men-at-arms, not the decentest. Oh my lord! Good night. All of the Chukunu going down. Well, hey, I mean, there's not much you can do when a Mangonel shot comes off like that. Looks like we got the age up coming through here for Barcode as well. He's going to have to fall back with the battering rams. He's got 3 of them out so far. He's done a lot of damage here, but he's going to have to fall back. We've seen Imperial Examinations coming through. And now looking to clean up this position. I mean, realistically, he could be taking this out. I don't know why he's not doing it. 6 horsemen, more than enough to clean up this at the very least, Mangonel. But now a little bit of a raid coming through from the Viper. Notorious for his ability to multitask. He's going to get spotted out. Chokunu on the backside going to be pumping out damage into those unupgraded horsemen. Keep in mind, the blacksmith did get taken out back in the base. An expensive building. I think 150 wood. Let me double check. Yeah, 150 wood. So an expensive building to lose. And now going to be turning his attention towards the outpost. Fortunately, does have his textile upgrade. So it means that these villagers are going to take an extra shot to go down. But he's losing a lot of villagers here. At the moment, the villager count for Barcode sitting on 61 versus 50 for the Viper, and that's going to continue falling down, or going down, I guess you could say, as he's losing more and more villagers on this position, down to 49 now. Multiple angles of attack for Barcode. He's moving out across the map. Shukunu to the north, over towards the east side. We see a wolf getting in on the action as well. He's brought everybody to the party, and now Viper going to be losing some crossbows here. Very, very painful losses here. Horseman coming in very handily. Villager moving out to repair, and we do see the astronomical clock tower coming down inside the base of Barcode. and he's moving into a heavier composition with a bunch of barracks. So I would expect he's got two options. Number one, palace guards, spears, and nest of bees. Option number two, horsemen, fire lancers, and spearmen. To me, when I see these barracks like this, it looks like it's going to be palace guards, and indeed, it is going to be palace guards. So you can expect that there's probably going to be some nest of bees coming out with this. Typically, you'd want to be running palace guards with the nest of bees just to try and deal with those crossbows. It's going to make it a lot easier. But now that central outpost yet to reveal itself, obviously, no hand cannon slits. And one of the things I have seen a lot of Chinese players do, despite reaching the castle age, is they will continue just with hand cannon slits. Hand cannon slits so damn effective that it just makes total sense. You can go for the springald emplacement. Sure, it's a bit more expensive. You can see more than double the cost to actually get that springald emplacement. Obviously, it's an effective emplacement, but at the same time, I mean, if you're strapped for cash, then definitely the hand cannon slit's not terrible at all. Horseman looking to try and clean up some units on the backside. Doesn't find any villagers, instead finds a bunch of men-at-arms. Viper now dropping down a mosque. Villager count for him sitting on 54. He's got so many resources in the bank at the moment. And getting all those +1 economic upgrades, also military academy coming through for him. He's actually gone for a double blacksmith here. Still on the 1 TC. Has dropped down a second TC. I'm not sure how long ago this one came up. You can take a look by how much the villagers have got on them. Looks like they've already gone through a couple of harvest cycles on this, so that town center has been up for a while. So he's back onto the second TC, and now those men-at-arms are going to be going up against the palace guards and lancer combo here that we've got. All the economic upgrades coming through for the Viper, but we see that the +1 melee upgrades are going to be coming through now for Barcode. So Barcode looking good on the defense. Cleans up the men-at-arms. We've now got a monastery that's being supervised. Unfortunately, nothing in production at the moment. Needs to get out on the map. And you look at the line of sight that we've got out at the moment for Barcode. Just out everywhere, camping up all of the things. Towards the north, a nice little sneaky hunt grab. I think that's a horseman that did go down to those villages. And for the moment, we've just entered into a bit of a lull phase here. Viper trying to get back into the game. But now Palace Guard's going to be looking to try and find villagers, and indeed they will be successful, at least meeting a crossbow or two. We hear over on the east side of the map, the Wolf getting in on the action, and you know, this is the difference, right? We talked about this early on in the game. The fact that Barcode had cleaned up at, oh my lord, that's a bit more impactful than a Wolf, it seems. Double Lancer now coming in, and look at that, there was an outpost there the whole time. Springald emplacement now coming through. Beautiful job with the outpost, and this is the theme of this map, obviously high view. The map is notorious for the stealth forests. This is exactly what you want to do, what Barcode's doing. Just putting these stupid little outposts absolutely everywhere because they're going to be able to provide you so much utility. They provide line of sight, let you know where enemy villages are, let you know where enemy units are, and they remain hidden. It's essentially like a stealth building. But now we do see over on the south side for Barcode. He is beginning to build up quite a force here. Going to have the first nest of bees on the way shortly. Already a keep up in the center. Beautiful little position he's got. Going to start pushing forward with those outposts to provide that line of sight. Raid coming through once again. +1 on the ranged armor. That's all he's going to need here. Keep in mind the emplacements, or rather the extra arrow slits for the town center only do 6 damage. And we don't have +1 ranged attack in just yet. So he's only going to be taking 1 damage a pop on these lances. You can see barely nothing. Another attack down on the south side. And Viper definitely under pressure here. Second town center finally has been dropped by Barcode. We'll check in with the villager count and see how he's doing. Up to 89 villagers. 64 for Viper, so a 25 villager difference. Still yet to pick up any relics. Check in over on the other side as the first relic has indeed come back. But Viper definitely looking like he might be in an increasingly tough position. Still those Shukunu actually going down over on this position. Third town center now coming up for the Viper as well. So if there's a way for Viper to get back into this game, it is through the third town center. But remember, he's just reaching parity now with the Chinese player. The Chinese player trains the villagers a lot faster, which means that to have these 3 TCs essentially just means you're going to have a bit more food in your back pocket. You're not actually going to be closing the gap on the Chinese player. Rather, you're just going to be keeping up with him. So by the time the Chinese player reaches 130 villagers, you're still going to be sitting on 100 villagers. Because if you're 30 behind right now, I mean 24, 23 behind, then you're going to be 23 behind when he maxes out. So he's going to be entering into the late game a bit earlier than you, and that makes it a bit tougher. But Nesta B is now moving forward, double battering rams. These guys were created, what was it, 10 minutes ago, 8 minutes ago, something like that, and they've managed to stay alive all this time. Battering rams got to be careful, though. Line of sight going to be provided on those villagers. Nest of Bees going to be able to open fire on them. Looking pretty decent. The split comes through. Beautiful little dodge coming out from the Viper. I tell you what, I feel like I've seen that before somewhere. Might have been another game. Maybe an Age of Empires 2, perhaps. Chukunu up towards the north. Look at this. A single Chukunu just being so damn annoying. Viper now going to have to pay attention to that. Villagers also getting pulled. Men-at-Arms moving around, looking to try and take out the Clockwork Nest of Bees. We do see the crossbow is going to be coming back. Was that a trebuchet? I think, yeah, we saw a trebuchet boulder just landing here. I don't know whether it actually took out the men-at-arms, but it seemed like it did. But now those battering rams going to be unsuccessful. Perhaps it was this trebuchet that was dishing out the damage. Chukunu did go down up towards his position, so Chukunu being very annoying. And look at this, Barcode playing this so well. He's playing it like a Mongol player. I feel like I'm watching Beastie. I know I mentioned him earlier in the video, but it feels like I'm watching Beastie play right now. Just the way that he's using the outposts. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this was, you know, Vortex or Lucifron, somebody like that, because they love doing this with their outposts. Very annoying. And we can see the failure to drop an emplacement over here might mean that the outpost is lost. But a decent cleanup for the moment. And Viper still sitting on the back foot. Did lose out that second TC. He's down to 2. Barcode on 96 villagers, 75 for the Viper. So not training villagers full time. We can see Viper is starting to close the gap. Actually, no villagers at the moment for Barcode in queue, despite having 2,000 food. Perhaps thinking about a bit of an Imperial Age. Is there a potential that we do see the Great Gatehouse? It could be an option. It could be an option. Imagine if he just puts a great gatehouse like right here. I don't think you'd do it. You'd be a madman to do something like that, especially when your enemy's already got a counterweight trebuchet out, which is the counter unit, the exact counter unit for it. But still no villager production coming through. What is Barcode doing? Is he just committing to an all-in here potentially? It could be the case. It could just be the case that he's like, you know what, we're just going all in right now. If we go any later, it could be troublesome. Fortunately, the counterweight trebuchet that was going down to the men-at-arms is cleaned up by the keep as well as the outpost. More villagers on the front side here. And just absolute complete surround right now from Viper. Or rather, on Viper. You take a look at Viper's perspective, he's got no clue about what's going on in the minimap. Compare that over to Barcode, and Barcode knows absolutely everything. More outposts now coming up. Let's see what he does for his landmark. He could go for it right here. I reckon he could do it right there. Let's see. Granaries are coming through. Oh, he didn't actually drop it down. I thought he dropped it down. All right. Take a look at the battering ram. Look at the battering ram get shredded by the keep, by the way. Keep does so much damage to the battering ram. It's not even close. Chinese keeps just destroy battering rams. You know, I'm a big advocate for China, but I tell you what, those keeps kind of broken, not gonna lie. Well, we got the landmark coming down. We'll take a look and see if we can find it. There it is. It's going to be the Spirit Way. Nice little position back here. Beautiful positioning on this Imperial Academy as well by Barcode. Still got plenty of resources left in this mill. So going to be the Spirit Way. So the best option for him is probably to go into the Yuan Dynasty as well. Going to be a bit expensive for him to do that. But for the moment, definitely seems like the right choice. But I'm starting to wonder, like, what's going on with Barcode? He seems to have petered out a little bit. I feel like he might be going Imperial a bit early here. But it just seems like had he just kept creating villages and, you know, going very heavy on horsemen and spearmen, you know, maybe mix in palace guards as well if you want to, or nest of bees, whatever you want to do. Sure, it makes sense. But now Viper actually looking to clean up this position and... Oh! His enemy reached Imperial Age and Viper just tapped out. We didn't even get to see a final fight, so a little bit anticlimactic. The Imperial Age came through, the Spirit Way was completed, and Viper just said goodnight. All right, fair enough. I respect that. Well, fellas, I'll catch you guys in the next one. Check out Viper. I'll leave a link in the description.